to another exciting episode of the Insurance Untangled Podcast. I am Ben Tuyene and one of the co-hosts of this podcast. Created this podcast and dedicated it to sort of helping practices that are tangled up with insurance. We talk about many different fun topics, more importantly, ones that will help you take control of your practice to create a bigger, better, and brighter future, not only for you, your patients, but of course, your team members. So today is our membership plan discussion day where we have my two co-hosts with me today. We got Jordan, who we're going to be interviewing, and then Naren on the call today with us. Gentlemen, good morning and nice to chat with you again.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Excellent. So we whipped up a pretty interesting topic that we're going to be talking about today. And Jordan, of course, we're going to be grilling you. We're going to be interrogating you with some questions today, Jordan.
Brother.
Yeah. So the topic that we're going to be talking about is building a practice that can thrive without you. I love that. In fact, I was just thinking about this morning, Jordan. It's like, man, when's the last time I actually went on a true vacation? Because every time I go on vacation,
Let's go, dude.
Every half day, like I work half days on vacation. So I never really actually take time off because I imagine that my business is structured just like that of a dental practice. But I'm very much interested in hearing your feedback on this.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about.
Very good. So first question is, what is the definition of building a practice that can thrive without its owner?
Yes. So I think as business owners, Ben, this should be the main goal. Is to build whatever business you have, in this case, dental practices, in a way that it can run without you, generate income without you, and you've got the right people, the right processes, and the right technology and revenue systems, is how I look at it, to ensure that the business is its own organism, its own life, right? Separate from the business owner. This is something that I've really love this topic and talking about it and solving it for myself, right? Because running a business is not easy. Running a practice is not easy, right? So when we look at this, we look at all these functions of the business, right? And this is probably, we're going to focus on a 30,000-foot view of the business, right? If you haven't read a book called Built to Sell, it's a book that talks about building a business that can thrive without you, whether you want to sell it or keep it, right? Is how the title should be. And in that book, I highly recommend that our listeners go order that book and read it back and forth. It's a simple read. It's by the author is John Warlow, who wrote the book also called The Automatic Customer, which talks about recurring revenue. So those two books combined are kind of what I'm going to be talking about here. So you need to get the people, the processes within the clinical side, the office side. You need to get everything out, documented, the technology used to operate, and making sure the culture is there, and then the revenue systems. When you have all those functioning and you can step away, usually what I encourage people to do is take, like Ben mentioned, I'm going to go take a vacation, but this time, let's say it's 3-day vacation. This time I'm not going to touch the business. I'm going to see what happens. And then I come back and say, okay, what failed when I was gone? I'm going to document it. And then I'm going to find a way to solve what I just documented, right? So this is what I've been doing for years. And it's worked out very successfully. Every time I go on vacation, this last time I went on a 2-week vacation, I did nothing with the business. And I came back and I went to my twin brother, Justin, and I said, what was needed when I was gone? What broke when I was gone? And this time nothing did. It was awesome. But over years, I've done this process where I go on vacation, and I encourage all listeners to go on vacation and do this. It's the most simple way to figure out what doesn't work when you're gone, right? And then all you do is just ask your manager or whoever you're dedicating that's managing your teams. Say, what didn't work when I was gone? And let's write those down. And how can we patch those holes So the business is not so reliant on me that it's doesn't function. And that's been my process for years.
Yeah.
And over time, so go on more vacations is is the solution, right? And then document what's not working. As a practice owner, there are probably a lot, it may be overwhelming. But the cool thing is you can over time build it in a way where it can thrive without you, which is an amazing thing to have. And now it's a real asset to your life and to your financial exit potential, right? So that's kind of how I view it. And that's been my process over the years. And I think it's really important as business owners and practice owners that you have some type of cadence you're doing to analyze what's working, what's not working, and fix it. So it's not relying on you. So that's kind of my definition, my long definition.
That's my dream. I've been
Yeah.
trying to get there, but that's my dream, is to kind of get to this point of what you're talking about, is having
Yeah.
a business operate where the owner not being there 24/7 is necessary.
Yeah. Now I enjoy coming into the office and collaborating with my people. I focus on vision a lot now. My last tier of the business is still relying on me is like marketing functions, and we're in the process of hiring. We've identified, because I went on vacation and identified what those are and say, okay, we need to get me out of these. And I still will be involved in the company, but if I wanted to go 2 weeks in Hawaii or hang out with Ben somewhere, go to see Naren in Canada, I can, right?
They got nice beaches there in Toronto, I heard.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going if they're cold beaches.
Oh, oh, sorry, Naren. It looks like you're still on mute there.
Dude, I was just joking that, yeah, if you come in February, I'll show you nice beaches.
They
I'll
have
take you
nice,
personally.
they have nice icy beaches, icicles. I've
You
seen them
can-
in Toronto. It's a trip.
Maybe you can jump into the lake and
Yeah, ice
like in
bath.
February.
Oh yeah, there you go. Dopamine
Anyways.
galore right there with that strategy.
Yeah, really.
Let me ask you this. So let's say someone like, Ben is like, hey, how do I build this type of practice, where
Yeah.
it's not dependent on me, it's rather kind of running on its own?
Yeah. So how we look at our business, we actually another book that I highly recommend is reading the book Traction. Traction teaches business owners, practice owners how to build a business that can function without them as well. And you want to look at just your business from a 30,000-foot level and say, okay, what are all the roles and responsibilities in business? Including mine as a dentist, right? The dentist is typically the owner, the CEO, plus the lead clinician, right? Is kind of how I would look at it. But you want to map that out and say, what are all the hats that I'm wearing in the business? So I'll map it out. We use a software called 90.io that allows us not only to map out all the business functions, but it also allows us to hold digital meetings with our each department, and they can have their goals, their to-dos, their issues that they're solving in their specific department. 90.io is awesome software for just organizing the people, right? So first of all, you got to know your vision for why you're building your practice, right? What milestones are you trying to hit? What revenue targets are you trying to hit? All of that, right? And you want to build your vision and culture, right? So you want to understand what types of people are coming in to work for you. Are they the right fits? Are they passionate about the job role that they're working on? We have 4 core values that we go by here at Boom Cloud. We want performance maniacs, ownership junkies, creative psychos, and team rock stars. So those are our 4 core values. And each of those has a definition that I've created. Over time, I've analyzed people, and we've seen who works in a company and who works out, who doesn't. And the ones that fit those 4 categories that I've created are our ideal persona team member, right? You can do the same thing for your patient targets, persona, like creating a persona for your patients. We do the same thing for our customers on our revenue teams. They do that. But that's the first step, is understanding the job roles and the hierarchy of the business from 30,000 feet, and then understanding what type of people you need in your company. It's super hard, but it's worth it when you get it down. I've made a ton of mistakes hiring people, and then you have to fire, and then there's morale, and you got to manage it. It's really complicated, but it's fun once you get it right. And so that's the first step, is or like hierarchy of the organization, the job roles, and how many hats you're wearing as a business owner. So when I initially did this, I think I was wearing like 6 hats, and I'm like, that's too much. No one person can wear all these 6 hats and do something effectively, right? Or like efficiently. So over time we said, okay, this hat needs to get off my head, place it on somebody else's, and here is the core values of the individuals that need to wear this hat, right? That's why we have those core values. So that's the first step, is people and understanding the hierarchy of your business, from marketing roles to front office roles to clinical roles. Everything needs to be documented, and everything needs to show how many hats each person is wearing or each owner is wearing. So that's how I look at it. Then the next thing is saying, okay, in all these roles of the company, what processes do these people need to know and understand to get their job done successfully, right? Because there's a lot of fluff in a lot of different roles. And like, well, I'm doing it. Yeah, if I'm a marketing person, they're going to be like, well, yeah, we did some social media posts, and we're working. But those social media posts may not be generating new business, right? And new patients. So it's like documenting what processes truly work and drive success for the business. So that's what I'm talking about. Another reason why I like the software called 90.io is that you can document all of your processes and train upon them, right? So, and you want to train on them consistently, especially if it's a people-focused job role, meaning a human is managing it, which a lot of roles in the dental practice are human focused. They're managed by humans. So humans forget. And if it's like, let's say it's a front office role, there's a lot of soft skills like speaking and communicating that sometimes people forget, the frameworks of how to communicate, how to present treatment. So training consistently is how you help with that, or automating, right? Automating should be done when you've nailed it. You've figured out, okay, these are all the words we use to get people to say yes to treatment. Now let's automate it and have not scripts, but like, let's say we have like little presentations that have the words and everything that's working, and then you can start automating it, right? So that's a key to process, right? Once you nail down a process and it seems to be working like clockwork, now it's time to say, can we automate this, and how can we automate it? Or can we just streamline it better if it's not an automation task, right? So that's how I look at things as a business owner. And then technology, finding the right technology for your team to automate or streamline, right? Technology is a huge piece. I think in our company here, I think we pay like 15 grand a month, just to be transparent, on all of our technology to manage our business and each role, right? So like I said, we use 90.io as kind of like our operating system hub. We have a software called HubSpot. That's our marketing, sales, and customer service hub that allows us to manage. So what is it in the dental practice? We know that there's a practice management system that needs to be managed, to manage your existing customers. How do you manage leads? How do you manage, everything on the marketing end? How do you manage insurance billing, right? Is there tools that allow the practice to streamline that? How do you manage and present treatment, right? So that you have a system for that. That's how I look at it. And then you would document everything and say, what tools can we use to streamline this function of the business, right? So you got people, you have processes that those people follow, and you have technology that those people use to streamline or automate a function of the business. which is super important because if you cannot automate or streamline, it's going to be really hard to scale and have a practice that thrives without you, right? So those are the kind of three areas that we look at, and then I look at the revenue function. I look at that as a separate function on top of all this, because revenue is the lifeblood of any business, right? If you don't have it, or if it's up and down, like you're really unhealthy business. You can fix that. But the truth is, like, that's a huge component of how to let go of the vine, or how to build a practice that can thrive without you, is the revenue function, and making sure that's pumping blood through the system, right? If blood's not pumping through your body, the organs, the people, the technology, the processes are going to fail, right? So that's kind of how I look at it, and I don't know if that's helpful, but this has been an important part of just my responsibility as a business owner. And the truth is, as business owners and practice owners, we don't want to be the bottleneck of a company, right? It's stressful. I've watched my dad do this for years in the dental lab, and now he's starting to learn and expand, and the business is starting to thrive a lot better without him. And as clinicians and practice owners, it can be really hard to think this way and be like, oh man, because you're trained in school to be like, well, you're the guy that needs to do all the work and the clinical work, and you're the guy that needs to produce, right? Day in, day out. And that can get exhausting and overwhelming. So this is how I think of it. So like, as a dentist, like, hey, can I hire an associate and train them up to do the clinical work and become a real owner? I know a lot of practices do that. It is hard and challenging, but everything hard and challenging is worthwhile. This is how I look at it, right? So that's how I think, dudes.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And I know that you mentioned quite a bit and very consistently that reoccurring revenue is essential to building a practice, especially one that can thrive without the practice owner being there 100% of the time. Do you mind kind of elaborating on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so predictable recurring revenue is why the insurance companies have the largest buildings in your state, right? Predictable recurring revenue is why some of the software companies sell for billions. I think Qualtrics down the street here in Lehigh, where I'm at in Utah, sold for $8 billion
Wow.
because of the amount of recurring revenue they had, right? And recurring revenue is, when you do it right, it's another system in the business, right? That can add that value and predictability, which as a business owner, you want predictability. You don't want, oh, it's September now, it's gonna be a lousy month because it's how it's always been. Right? You don't want that in any business, and you don't want that with your body. Oh yeah, my heart's not working really well. I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, that's unhealthy. So recurring revenue, and you can do this by creating membership plans. That's what I usually talk about. In the dental industry, that's the avenue to create predictable recurring revenue, right? Is to build these membership programs. And we've seen people build these membership programs to drive $500,000 to $1 million a year in recurring revenue when done right. That in and of itself is a system that needs to be automated, and marketing is a huge component to that. But when you have recurring revenue, you can build a business that can thrive without you. We had one of our that also increases the valuation, so it's double benefited.
Yeah.
When you have that recurring revenue, you have the people, the processes, and the technology to take care of every function of the business. Then you can take a vacation or spend time with family or whatever you choose. Just be a true freedom owner of the business and not have to worry that the business is not functioning or not producing without you. So that's kind of my philosophy in building this type of organization and company, and any business can do this. It does take some focus and thinking. I would encourage every week as practice owners that you just spend a day thinking about your business and how you can make it operate better. take a Friday and ask your questions, ask these questions. What am I bottlenecking in the business? How can I fix it? How can I get out of the way? I tell my team here all the time that I'm the most fired person here at MoonCloud. Because as you start, I started the company from scratch. So that means I've fired myself from all the roles I do. And I'm still doing that, right? There's a couple of roles that I still need to fire myself on that I'm doing this week. I'm doing that this week. Firing myself from a couple of different roles so that it's just unbottlenecked. So my favorite book is Built to Sell. You can also read like the E-Myth. I think there's a dental, which E-Myth just talks about building systems. And I would highly recommend you have, if you're running your practice, you identify the operator of your practice. It may be an office manager, it may not. Most office managers, from what I see out there, are not true managers. And I'm not trying to say that to shame people, or I'm just saying they're not true office managers, because they're true managers manage everything that I just laid out in this podcast, where they're looking at people, processes, and technology and revenue. So that's how I think about it. Hopefully that's been helpful for some of our listeners.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I think you kind of talked about a new topic that I think we haven't covered before, which is how to build a business that's not dependent on you, that gives you freedom as opposed to that enslaves you, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of what ends up happening with majority of dental practices. They have a business,
Yes.
but unfortunately, it controls them as opposed to
Yes.
they controlling it. So like you said, they can't go on vacation. They're thinking about it all the time, that if they don't show up to work for 2 weeks, the business goes to zero.
Yeah.
So those are not good characteristics of a good business. So thank you for all your tips. Thank you for your insights. And I think you owning your own business and running it is definitely helpful. I also, have 250 people. So you are forced to do it the bigger you get, because you have no choice, right? You have
Yes.
to depend on others. You have to depend on systems, but you don't need to wait till you're forced. You could do it proactively, even when you have only 4 employees, 5
Yeah.
employees.
Start at any
Yeah.
stage, it can be done.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ben. So I guess we're going to share your website, boomcloud.com.
Yeah, I've got some books about the recurring revenue component of building a business that can thrive without you. Go to our
Right.
website, boomcloudapps.com. Go to the free books section. We have the $1 Million Membership Plan ebook that walks you through how to generate predictable recurring revenue through your membership program. Go download that and schedule a demo with our team to learn how the technology can help you streamline and automate that component of making your business practice thrive without you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I also want to take a minute to thank Ben for co-hosting this with me, and thank our listeners. Without you, we can't do what we do we have a big event coming up. Of course, if you go to insuranceuntangled.com, you can learn more about it. It's, I believe it's the 1st of March, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Anyways,
it
go
is.
to the website. It's noon on the 1st of March, 3 hours of CE. Sign up. The admission is on us. It's our gift to you. Until we see you again in another awesome episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast, have a wonderful week ahead.